from Earl of Five Games. I'm the developer of Heroes and Hardships, and currently we are on Kickstarter. This is day 3. We are 238% funded, and we've hit our first stretch goal, the Fantasy Adversaries Volume 1. And today I thought instead of just hitting F5 on my Kickstarter page to see who's all pledged, I would actually do something that would be a good use of my time. And since we've hit that first stretch goal, I have several of the adversaries already statted out and ready to be put in book form, but we need some more. And I'm also doing some development for converting 5e monsters into Heroes and Hardships. And I just thought, why not grab one of my very old 3.5 edition D&D books and take a look at one of the monsters and make it for Heroes and Hardships. Not necessarily a conversion of it, but with the same idea. And I didn't want it to be like one of the very obvious ones, so I didn't pick the normal manual monster. I took the manual monster 5. So I definitely have a few of those from my 3.5 days quite a while ago. And so I grabbed the 5th monster manual and just kind of opened it up, and the first thing I see is a burrow root, which is, I'm just going to read the description for you. A massive ripple churns through the topsoil with great speed and fluidity. Suddenly, a strange serpentine root, twice the length of a grown human, bursts through the surface. Its massive, thorny jaws snap at you with a wide and ravenous hunger. Okay. So it's a living plant. Okay, so that's cool. I don't think that I have actually any living plants that I've created as of yet. So this would be a good opportunity for me to be able to use the burrow movement trait for Heroes and Hardships, something that can move through the ground. And kind of the way I envision it, I really haven't looked at its abilities, but I actually do see it has something called Speed Burrow. Is basically it can move through the ground and then it'll just pop up. It moves through the ground. You can't hit it when it's in the ground. Then it pops up and attacks you, and they can move around again. And so I'm going to make this burrow root for the Fantasy Adversaries Volume 1. Add it in there. I think a foe is probably a good statistical level for it. So it can, it's not something that is, a major concern when it comes to, and not like a dragon, right? Although this book will have arch nemesis in it, unlike the core book that doesn't have those. So it has all foes, adversaries, and minions. But we will get started here on Burrow Root. So I have my PDF open to the bestiary in the adversaries chapter, and looking at how I make these guys. Sometimes I have to refer back to see exactly how many points I use. And the first one is a foe. The way I do these typically is I create the PL1 version, then I create the PL2 and PL3 versions based on the PL1 version. Now, as a GM yourself, you do not have to do this that way. You could just go straight to the PL2 version, make it how you want, or you could make the PL1 version and then make it independent of the PL2 version. Sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes you don't want to stick to exactly how the PL1 version is created, because oftentimes, well, not oftentimes, but sometimes they you would build them different ways if you had more points. But for the simplicity, I usually go PL1, 2, and 3 and build on top of them. I'm not going to show you the PL2 and PL3 versions, because usually they get more abilities and whatnot. But I'll show you the PL1, and we'll go from scratch there for this burrow root guy. So let's do this. Let's flip open the character sheet. So I have Roll20 up here, and this character sheet is 100% functional. 100% functional. So for your games, if you are interested in playing on a VTT, you can play on Roll20. I have macros that I can share with you. Eventually, at the end of the campaign, when people start getting their core books, I'm going to put up the macros for download on our website, so you can grab those. Now we are going to do some work on this sheet to make it kind of more come into line with our official character sheet in its looks and give it more functionality. You can flip over to an NPC sheet. You can flip over to a vehicle sheet, that sort of thing, to give the most flexibility as possible. And maybe we'll set it up for possible compendium support in the future. Compendiums on Roll20 are not cheap to develop, so that might be one of those stretch goals that we add later if we get up to those levels. But let's continue. So we have Burrow Root here. We have the ones in all the categories. It's not going to have fate, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop that to 0 first. They will have no magical abilities like that, so no reason to have fate for a creature of that nature. So that means it's going to have 12 ability points right now, and foes start out with 24. I always build all these characters as if fate is used in the game. It's just because it would be way too hard to kind of change it, because as a character you get more ability points if fate is being used versus if it's not. But for adversaries, either you can, and this is all explained in the core rulebook, you can back out those fate points with a step-by-step process if you want, or you can just leave them. It doesn't change things dramatically. It makes them maybe a little stronger than if you would back them out. But I usually don't even bother in my games. They just play with that, and it's fine. But most of my games do have fate. I think if in a fantasy game where you're fighting a Burrow Root, you're probably going to have fate in that game anyway. So it's really up to the GM to decide. It's one of those things that it's one of the parts of being flexible for the system. So, all right. So what are we going to give this thing? It's definitely not going to be a charmer. It's a big plant, right? So it's going to be kind of your typical physical build. So what we'll do is we'll give it 4 strength, 4 endurance. So PL1, the highest attribute you can have is a 4. At character creation, you can, as a player, you can increase it to 5 by improving your attributes, but it can't go any higher than that. All right, so 4. So that's now we're at 18. We're going up to 24, so we have 6 left. I would say they're probably fairly agile. So let's put a 3 there. Okay. Probably not scared by much because they're a plant. They're not smart enough to know, right? So we got 2 left. Okay. So let's see. Usually, oh yeah, definitely senses. Because this thing, I see this as actually something that is really going to attack from a hidden position, kind of a sneak attack type of thing. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this endurance down 1 and the senses up 1, and that's our that's it. So that's our Burrow Root attribute. So this is really quite easy. So as a GM, once you just know the steps to go through, actually creating your monsters and stuff, your custom stuff, it's very easy. But we know that sometimes you just don't have time to do that sort of thing, and so that's why I want to try to provide as many of these adversaries pre-built for you. And although the core book has a lot of them, who doesn't like more monsters, right? That's why I'm looking at the 5th monster manual of D&D 3.5, and I don't even know if it's the last one. Was there a 6th one? I'm not sure, but there might have been. That I think is going to be good for their starting attribute points. All right, and then the next thing we'll get into is skills. Now that we have the attributes set, we can go into skills. And foes, they generate skills by half of whatever the attributes are for their categories. So foes are generated different from minions, which are different from normal adversaries, and which are different from arch nemesis and characters. Okay, so it just makes it a lot quicker, and makes them less impactful as well. So let's go down here to the skills. You can see that the ranks are calculated for you in this sheet. So the sheet does have some very nice features for this too, as we went and we did the development for it. So it's very easy to add up the amount of physical skill points that we get. We just add all these numbers, right? The 4, the 1, the 3, and the 3. So that's 11. So we get 11 skill points. In dexterity, I'm not going to put anything in dexterity. Dexterity ends up being a lot of weapon skills. So it's not going to have any of those. Okay, so what we know is we get 6. We get 6 total skill points because we get half rounded up, so we get 6. So I think stealth is going to be pretty important here. So I'm going to do a 3. So it's going to have half of its stuff in stealth. Now, normally when you build a character, if you equal your governing attribute, you have to pay more for it. That's not the case with foes or minions. So we ignore that rule for them. So 3 for stealth, and then the next is going to be hand to hand. I'll put 2 in there, and I will put let's see, probably 1 in stamina. Okay, so we are going to do those. That equals the total of 6 that we're going to use. Okay. So now that we have our skills, for foes and minions, we just get a certain amount of abilities or ancestry traits based on their power level. It's unlike a character build or an adversary build, or arch nemesis build, where you actually are taking the points that you have in your skill ranks and converting them to ability points. We don't do that here. We just give you two slots, one for an ability or ancestry trait, or both, whatever you want to do. You can use flaws to increase that, and I think that's a good thing to do here. And so one thing that's interesting is I get to kind of tell you kind of some of my design philosophies while I do this, and it's interesting because I was kind of thinking about this burrow route and some of the things it's going to have, and some of the issues that I came up with when I was designing Heroes and Hardships, when I was creating monsters. And one of those things was when I was creating monsters, there's ancestry traits, plenty of those to create whatever you want, right? So one of them is like a natural weapon, so a bite or a claw attack, and another is change your mode of movement, right? So fly or burrow in this case. But when I was originally creating the monsters, I found that I was using a lot of my ability points to add natural weapons or a mode of movement change, and it really lessened the efficacy of the monsters, where I was having to waste those those abilities on movement and attack, just so they're able to do those things. So I decided at some point that those two specifically, they kind of get those for free, right? So you can change your mode of movement for no ability point cost or ancestry use, and you can add a natural weapon for at rank 1 for free, so long as they can't wield or they do not wield a weapon. So if you're a some sort of humanoid and you walk around with a club, let's say something like a yeti or an ogre or something, I wouldn't give you a natural weapon for a bite or a fist, since you're also wielding a giant club or something. But if you're a lion, or some sort of monstrous creature, then I'm going to give you a natural weapon for free, because you're not going to wield a weapon. So those are a good way to kind of not only speed up your creation process, but also not limit your monsters by having to give them things where a normal character would be spending for those things. Like if I'm a character and I am playing, I don't know what's a good example, but maybe you're some sort of animal human hybrid. You're a cat man or something, and you want to be able to slash with your claws, but at the same time you want to be able to attack with your rapiers or your puss in boots or something like that. Well, and in order to do that, you need to buy a natural weapon for your slashing attack, but you can still wield your sword as well, whereas in a monster, you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that, because you can't just wield that sword. You can only slash, and that's why you get that for free. Okay, I just wanted to talk about that because I thought that was interesting when I kind of look at this burrow route, and I was like, this would be really hard for me to build if it was a year or two ago when I was figuring out how to create these adversaries, and do it in a way where it made sense. So that was one of the first things I found that was a problem when I started doing this. Okay, and that's not a problem anymore, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so we're going to go to abilities. I'll just notate that it has natural weapon 1. Okay, and I'll get that in a second. 1, it's going to be like a bite attack. Bite, we'll say. And we'll notate that it's free here. Also, it is going to have mode of movement, burrow. And it's also free. Okay, so let's go back here. Ancestry is burrow root. Okay, or like living. Well, is it sentient? How about monstrous plant? Career. It's a plant. It doesn't really, not applicable. Age, gender, none of those are applicable. Burrow. Okay, so it's going to burrow. So we've done those. So now we're going to pick its abilities that we're actually going to pay for. I'm going to come back to natural weapon and kind of show you how that works, because there's some choices I need to make about the type of natural weapon it uses. But I'm going to pick 2 abilities or 2 ancestry traits for this creature that is going to kind of define what it is. Okay? So we'll do that next. So now we need to pick our abilities. And, I want to make sure that you're clear on this, that I'm not actually doing a wholesale conversion of this this monster to Heroes and Hardships. Not exactly. Now, in the GM's Notebook, Volume 1, there will be rules for doing so for 5e, and it will use different rules than just creating. I'm just using this as more of a inspiration for what I'm doing. So yeah. All right. So let's think about our ancestry traits, because ancestry trait is probably fairly applicable to this. You find a lot of these monstrous creatures. You end up using ancestry traits more often than abilities, because there's just so many things in here that you really can do. And one of them, when I read the description of what a burrow root is, it's clearly big. Okay, it's a big thing. So I think we should give it big. So let's do that. It is big. So we're gonna we're gonna give it big, rank 1. Let me just do 1. That's 1. We'll just put 6. So I put 6 there because that for me for ancestry trait is how much it costs per rank. Rank 1 big. Rank 1 big. Now there are rules for size differences that we'll want to keep in mind, and I'll talk about that. But really, the big ancestry trait just increases your size by 1, but there are rules about size that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so we raised its size by 1. Now I think the next thing we might want to look at is something to do with stealth, and so I'm just thinking about what to do as far as stealth, because it will take a hardship because it's so large. Because size 1 creatures do take a hardship to stealth, and I think I have what we're going to use. The ancestry trait is called nimble. So one thing about almost everything in Heroes and Hardships is they're very mechanically based, how they're described, and it's up to the GM to describe, what that is in game. Like if you look at I always use this example because it's easy to kind of conceptualize, and it's energy attack is a spell or a power, and it's just, you hit something with an energy attack, but what is it? Is it a fireball? Is it an ice ball? It doesn't really say, right? And that's up for you to determine as players and GMs. So we're going to use nimble because of the mechanical effects. And the nimble is actually, I get to choose 1 skill out of acrobatic, stealth, or thievery. And then you get a certain bonus on that every time you use that. So I'll do nimble, rank 1. Rank 1. I don't know why I keep doing that. Okay. And then I'm just going to copy into text. And you gain a level 2 bonus set. And you'll see it with the chosen skill. You may also reroll 1 skill check per session, but must take the result of the second. So that is pretty good. Stealth. So this thing can what I'm foreseeing is doing ambushes. And ambushes have a very specific way they're done in Heroes and Hardships, which is quite powerful. So I think that would be very neat for this thing to be able to do that. So that's good. So now, typically I would be done with the abilities. And we're going to talk about big and natural weapon, but I'm going to take a flaw because plants just, fire is no good for a plant. So if you got fire, look out. So the flaw is sensitivity. So let me get that up here. Trait lists, flawless. There we go. Sensitivity. We'll just do 1 level of sensitivity. And we can put that in. So they're extremely sensitive to certain objects. So when they're in the presence of fire, they take 1 hardship to all skill set tests. So sensitivity fire. So what does that do? Well, we've taken a flaw with this foe. So that means now I can get another ability or ancestry rank trait for free. What am I going to take? I'm probably going to take a natural weapon 2, just to give the thing a little bit more oomph when it hits you. So I think that'll be good. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to be with our abilities, unless I choose to do something else. Let me think about this, because this is the question, right? I'm looking at the burrow route from 3.5, and they with anything, they're very specific, like how they make um, their abilities for each thing, which it makes playtesting hard in that case. But so they have this thing where if they get cut in half, they turn into two things. So I'm kind of thinking of doing that. I just have to, be clear that there will be some times that ancestry traits, new ones, are stuck into other supplements. Like, for instance, Mummy Dust is the free adventure we have. We released a couple weeks ago, right before the Kickstarter started, and it it has a ancestry trait, the swarm ancestry trait, so you can build swarms and flocks of things. So I think that it's interesting to have those in areas as well. So I might add it here and then kind of decide what it does and how it works after I kind of tinker with it. So let's do that. I might come back and change it to something else, but for now, I'm just going to say split. I don't know what I will call it. 1-6. Okay, so that's free as well from this fire flaw. What I want to do is come back here to ancestry trait, or I'm sorry, to the natural weapon ancestry trait, and talk about how that works for a second. Now, natural weapon is going to be quite common for you in your games if you build. If you built foes or anything, really, you're going to use it a lot if you build monsters, probably. You're going to take it, you're going to do it for free, like this says, and then you're gonna make one. So at level 1, well, before you even get to the level of it, you choose, basically choose what kind of damage it's going to do, which aspect it's going to be on. Is it slashing, bludgeoning, or piercing? So that's up for you to decide which one it is. I'm going to pick piercing, actually, because I can imagine like the mouth kind of being thorns and just like snapping in with thorns. So we're going to say it's piercing. Rank 1 does 2 damage. Okay, and then you get to add some qualities to it. So it gets the light quality automatically. You cannot really parry with a natural weapon easily. So this is the way the light quality works. Is you can parry other things that are light. So if you're attacked with a weapon with a quality that has light in it, you can parry it, like punching and stuff. But if it doesn't, you can't parry it. So if I took a spear and you're trying to bite the spear and parry, you cannot do that, right? Okay, so you cannot parry it or block it. So then I chose, and then you choose. I chose piercing. Is it one-handed or range? It's considered one-handed for handedness. Reach, mortal, ranged, grapple, crushing, slashing, or piercing. It's going to be grapple. Yeah, grapple. A lot of times I choose grapple for things like this. So yeah, that's for rank 1. That's what you get. Okay. So we're getting pretty close to the end here. So we have its abilities, we have its skills. This should be all the abilities we need. Okay. It's going to do something cool with this new with this new thing here, this new ancestry trait, which I'm saying now will be in the stretch goal. So it will be in the Fantasy Adversaries Volume 1. It will be in there. So all the people who are backing this project will get that. So cool. Something new there. I love doing those. Those are so fun. All right, what else? On this sheet, wounds and injuries where you track your wounds primarily. Gear and all this stuff is where you track your weapons. Now, I'm going to fill this out because I play my game, right? I run my game, I play my game, and I will use this in a game sometime. I don't know when it'll be cool to use, but I will use it. And my macros that I have developed does pull this information to make kind of the rolls really really quick. So I just put natural weapon bite. If I want to make it like more thematic, thorny bite, yeah, right. So piercing 2. Then I put my melee, hand to hand, no rate of fire, no range, and then we're going to do kind of the things we did before. So it's one-handed, light, and grapple, right, from the natural weapon 1. Okay, so that's there. It doesn't have any armor, natural or impervious, which are the 2 ancestry traits that it might use. You get hit, that's the way it is. No armor for this guy. All right, so he's finished except me doing my characteristics calculations, and I'm going to do those real quick. So basically it automatically does it, but then if I have modifiers, this field right here is where you put those, and there is one for this guy because he is big. Okay, so I'm going to go through here. Okay. And then one more right here. And this is all going to be, done for you. But, building your characters is very easy if you do it on Roll20. So if you don't want to do that, that's fine. There's, rules how to do it. And if you just follow those rules, you're fine. You can use character sheets. You can use however you would like to do it, really. Okay, so we have that. So since this character has a size 2, when you compare between sizes, and I do this, I do it as in most characters and things are size 1. So when I set it, it's going to be, considering that it's against a size 1. Now, if it's a size 2 versus size 2, this doesn't happen. And if it's a size 3 versus a size 1, it's worse, right? So you got to keep that in mind. So what I do here is I know this rule, so my size is typically 1 higher than a 1, so my base defense is lowered by 5. Okay, so that's tough. I'm going to get hit more often if I don't do things like dodge. Right, this thing is going to be having to dodge because it's not going to be able to parry anything. So it's going to get hit pretty often. We know that. It doesn't have a dodge skill either, so it's going to be rolling straight agility. Okay. One other thing, though, on the good side is Thorny Bite, damage is doubled. Okay, versus a size 1. And I'm just going to note size 2 damage in here. Just as a reminder to myself of what I'm looking at here. So versus a 1 versus size 1, he's going to do 4 damage instead of 2. Okay, and that's it. Now we've created a power level 1 Burrow Root, and Burrow Root will be in the Fantasy Adversaries Volume 1. All 3 power levels for it will be, so power level 2 and power level 3 will both be in there, and likely it will probably increase in its ranks of its ability or its ancestry traits. So it's probably going to get, a better natural weapon or a better, a better nimble. So That's typically how that works. So yeah, I look forward to everybody playing against these burrow roots and telling me how it went, and if the burrow root was able to ambush your characters, and what other fun you can get to get going with these plants. So thanks for watching this, and remember, as I sit here today, we're 241% funded. We're on our way to our second stretch goal. We've already hit our first, and hopefully we will get there soon. And I do thank everybody for watching this. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to get posted, but we probably will be percentage higher funded than now. This is a Friday afternoon that I'm doing this, but hopefully I will post this in a few days. And so thanks everybody for watching this. This will be posted on to the Earl of Fife YouTube channel and linked into our Discord. So thanks for watching.